Assalamu alaikum students. So from today we are going to start a series of video lectures for IGCSE Mathematics 0580 and O-Level Mathematics 4024. So the first topic that we will cover in this video is coordinate geometry. So this topic is very important because you will be using this topic in inequalities with shading, and you will also be using this topic somehow in graphs of functions. Also, you may have like 5 to 6 mark question in your paper related to coordinate geometry. So these are the learning objectives for this. These are the learning objectives for coordinate geometry. So the first learning objective is you will know how to draw coordinates in 2 dimensions. This is something that you have previously done. We'll just discuss it quickly, and then after that you will discuss how to find out the length of line segment, gradient, and then also you will find out how to find out the midpoint. And after that we will be discussing equation of straight lines, right, in different forms. After that you will know how to find gradient and y-intercept from equation, and then you will know how to find out equation of parallel line, equation of perpendicular lines, and lastly we will discuss equation of perpendicular bisector. So this is the something like these are the objective that you that will cover your whole topic, and I'm sure like after watching this video, so you will be able to solve past paper questions related to this topic as well. So I have added past paper practice question over here as well for your concept clarity, right? So the first thing is to plot any point on this grid. So you need coordinates, and how you write coordinates. So coordinates are always written in the form of x comma y. So let's explain this, right? So this x represent x coordinate, right, and this y represent y coordinate. So now this is this is basic point. When you are moving from to right side from origin, so x coordinate will be positive. If you are moving on left side from origin, so x coordinate will be negative. If you are moving on the top side, x coordinate will be y coordinate will be positive. If you are moving down, so y coordinate will be negative. So let's discuss this. So now this point is called origin. So this point is basically origin. So what you need to do here, you need to write the coordinates of this point A. So coordinates are always written in x comma y. So now from origin, how many units we need to move on x-axis? So we need to move 1 unit on x-axis. So the x coordinate will be 1. And how many units we need to move on this 1 unit on x-axis, and how many units we need to move on y-axis? We need to move 3 units on y-axis. So the coordinate for this point will be 1 comma 3, right? So similarly let's find out the coordinate for B. So to reach at point B from origin, so how many units we need to move on x-axis? 1 2 3 4 5. So we need to move 5 units on x-axis, 1 2 3 and 3 units towards top side, right? So now the coordinate for this point will be 5 comma 3. So this is something that you can also check like without doing these steps. So this B is in front of 5 and 3, so the coordinate for this point B will be 5 comma 3. Okay, let's can you guess the coordinates for this point C? So to reach at point C, I need to move 1 2 3 4 5 units towards left side on x-axis. So the x coordinate will be -5, and then what is the value of y coordinate? How can I reach y coordinate? 1 2 3 4, and I need to move -4 units down, right? So the coordinate for this point will be -5 comma -4. So this is the first type of question that you may have in paper. Just plot the just write the coordinates, and then after that you may examiner may ask you to plot some specific point. So here we need to plot the point 50 over here. We need to plot the point 50 over here. So now this is the x value and this is y value. So what does it mean? From origin we need to move 5 unit on x-axis. How many units we need to move on x-axis? 5 units. So we'll be moving 1 2 3 4 5 units on x-axis. And how many units we need to move on y-axis? No units. So the point will be So this point will be 5 0 over here. So this is the point 5 0. Also you need to label it this point as D, so I'm just labeling it here. So one important thing that you may learn from this is like when you have any point on x-axis, y value will be 0. When you have any point on x, I'm just writing it over here, when you have any point on x-axis, so y coordinate will be 0. Y coordinate is always 0, right? So the y coordinate is 0. Let me erase this. Y coordinate is 0. So y coordinate will be 0, right? Now let's plot this point 0 comma minus 4 on the grid. So the x value is 0, so that means we will stay at origin. And how many units you need to move on y-axis? Minus 4 units. So 1 2 3 4. So this point will be over here. So this point is E 0 comma minus 4. Okay, so now the second thing that you will learn from here is on y-axis x coordinate will be 0. On y-axis x coordinate will be 0, right? X coordinate is 0. So this is, we are done with the first learning objective, right? So this is very basic concept. Let's discuss now. So now we will discuss three things over here. So the first thing is you will know how to find out the length of a line segment or distance between 2 points. It's the same thing. Length and distance is the same thing. You need to learn one simple formula for this, and that is square root x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So we will discuss later what is x1 y1 x2 y2. So the formula that you need to learn is square root x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. The third thing is the midpoint of a line segment. So midpoint is something that is exactly between the center of any line, or is exactly at the center between 2 points. So the formula for midpoint is we represent midpoint with the capital M and then brackets, and we will just add the x coordinates of 2 points and then divide by 2, and then we need to add y coordinates of the point and then divide it by 2. Okay. The third thing is gradient of line segment or gradient of a straight line. So basically what does gradient mean? Gradient actually tells you steepness of line. Gradient tells you about steepness of line or steepness of paths. Right. So let's say we have this line over here. We have this line over here. Right. So which line have more gradient? So this line have more gradient. The reason because this line is more steep. So the formula for gradient is actually m. We represent gradient with small m, and the formula for gradient is m equal y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now you may have three different types of line. The first type of line is actually horizontal line. So the first type of line is horizontal line. Let me erase this first. So the first type of line is horizontal line. Then we have vertical line. Right. Okay. So now horizontal line is like if you are moving on floor, so there is no steepness. So that means for the case of if horizontal line, the gradient is 0 because horizontal line does not have any steepness. So the gradient of horizontal line is 0, and the gradient of vertical line is undefined. infinity. The gradient of vertical line is undefined or infinity. Similarly, in case of sloping line, so we have three types of line: horizontal line, vertical line, and sloping line. So let's say we have this line and we also have this line. So now this line is moving from left to right upward, left to right upward. So that means the gradient of this line will be positive. The gradient of this line will be positive, and this line is moving from left to right downward, left to right downwards. You just need to check left to right. This line is moving from left to right downward, so the gradient of this line is negative. The gradient of this line is negative. So now how do we find out the steepness, or how do we find out the gradient of this line? We will simply use the formula m equal y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's all about these three concepts: length, midpoint, and gradient of straight line. Some question related to this concept. So here is the first question. So here is A point and here is C point. We need to find out the length of line joining A and C. So how do we find out the length of line joining A and C? Let me write the formula first. So the formula for length of line segment is square root x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So this is the formula for length of line segment. Okay, so what we need to do over here? So we need to find out the length. We need to find out the length of line joining A and C. So write the coordinates of A and C over here again. So the coordinates of A is 1, 3. So the coordinate of A is 1, 3, and the coordinate of point C is minus 5, minus 4. Okay. So when I previously teach you about coordinates, so the first value represent x and the second value represent y. Similarly here, the first value represent x, the second value represent y. So you can choose any point as x1 y1 and any point as x2 y2. So you may write this point as x1 y1 as well, no issue, you will get the same thing. So this is the first thing: learn formula and just identify the coordinates. So now what is the value of x2 over here? So what is the value of x2 over here? So the value of x2 is minus square root minus 5. So we will write minus 5 minus 1 square. So minus 1 is from formula and the value of x1 is 1. Plus what is the value of y2 over here? So y2 is minus 4 minus 3 square, and then we will put square root on the top of this. And then this will produce minus 6 square plus minus 7 square. Okay, so square root of negative number is always positive, so minus 6 square is 36 plus 49. So this will produce square root 85. So you will just simply put this value of square root 85 on calculator. It's 9.219. So up to 3 significant figure is 9.22. So the answer for the length of this line segment is 9.22. Okay, let's discuss the second concept, that is midpoint. So midpoint of A and C. We need to find out the midpoint of A and C. So midpoint, the formula for midpoint is just add the x coordinate, mean x1 plus x2 over 2, and then comma y1 plus y2 over 2. We represent midpoint with the capital letter M. So just put the brackets here and write M. Now what are the x coordinates? So x1 is 1, you may check from here. X1 is 1 and x2 is minus 5. X1 is x1 is actually 1 and x2 is minus 5. Y1 is 3 and y2 is minus 4. So we will write 1 minus 5, plus minus will be minus 1 minus 5 over 2, and similarly for y coordinates it's minus 4, it's 3 minus 4, it's 3 minus 4. So we will write 3 minus 4 upon 2. So here we have m. Okay, so now 1 minus 4, so this will produce minus 4 upon 2 and then minus 1 upon 2. So we can simplify this thing. So m will be minus 2 comma minus 1 over 2. Always simplify this, otherwise you will lose 1 mark. So we have discussed about length of line segment or distance between 2 points. We have discussed about midpoint of any line segment or midpoint, and now the third thing is the gradient. So how do you find out the gradient? So the formula, so this is something that you have already done, may be done in like physics as well. So the gradient is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we need to find out the gradient of line A and C. So the coordinate for A, let me write coordinate for A and C here as well. So let me write coordinates for A and C over here as well. Just separate it with the line. Okay, so the coordinate for A was 1 3 minus 5 minus 4, 1 3 minus 5 minus 4. So it's 1 3 minus 5 and minus 4. So this is again x1 y1 x2 y2. Okay, now plug in the values simply. So the value of y2 is minus 4 and then minus sign from formula minus 3 over what is the value of x2? It's minus 5 minus 1, so that will be minus 7 upon minus 6. So after simplifying you will get the answer for gradient, that is 7 by 6. So this is the answer for gradient. Now we have discussed 4 things over till this point: how to plot coordinates, distance or length, midpoint, and gradient. So for these things, so you will just need to learn the formulas, otherwise you will not be able to do that. Now I will teach you the most important concept of coordinate geometry, that is equation of straight line. So I will teach you 2 different forms of equation of straight line. The first form is y is equals to mx plus c. Y is equals to mx plus c. So now here m represent the gradient and c represent y-intercept. So now you are familiar with gradient, we have discussed just right now. So and what is c? So this c is called y-intercept. And what is y-intercept? Y-intercept is any point where line cross y-axis, So I have shown an example over here. So this is a line that crosses y-axis at minus 2. So the value of c for this question is minus 2. Okay, now I told you we will discuss 2 different form of equation of line. When we will use this form of equation of line, when you are given with y-intercept or you are given with a graph from where you can easily find out the y-intercept. So simply we will use this form of equation of line when y-intercept is given. Now the second form of equation of line is point slope form. When we will use this form of equation of line when y-intercept is not given. So this form of equation of line is actually y minus y1 is equals to mx minus x1. All right. So now this equation of line is called point slope form. Slope is actually gradient and point is the any point. So what does point mean? Any point through which the line passes. So here whenever you need to find out the equation of line when y-intercept is not given, so what you will do, you will just find out the value of gradient somehow, and then in the place of y1 and x1 you will put the coordinates of any point where line passes. So x1 and y1 are coordinates of which point through which line passes. So when you see the question, so you will easily understand. Just remember this: y equal mx plus c, y minus y1 equal mx minus x1. And when we will use slope intercept form, point slope form, when y-intercept is not given. And when we will use y equal mx plus c, graph is given or y-intercept is, you can easily find out y-intercept. Okay. Now, as I told you in like in the section of gradient, so you have horizontal line, vertical line, or sloping line. So for the case of sloping line, you will use y equal mx plus c, or you will use y minus y1 equal mx minus x1. But for the horizontal line, we have a shortcut that you must remember, because this is very very important. Now, as I told you, gradient of horizontal line is 0. So if I put 0 over here, so this thing will cancel out. So this thing will cancel out, because the gradient of horizontal line is 0. So this factor will cancel out. So y will be equals to c. And what is c? C is y-intercept. So you'll simply write y equal to y equals to the y equals c, and c mean any point where the line crosses y-axis. And for the case of vertical line, you can prove this. X is equals to a. For vertical line, x equal a. A is the point where line crosses x-axis, where line crosses x-axis. So we discussed four types of form: horizontal line, y equals c; vertical line, x equal a; and then y equal mx plus c, y minus y1 equal mx minus x1. All right. Now let's quickly discuss about the equation of this horizontal line. We need to find out the equation of this horizontal line. So this horizontal line has equation y equals c. Y equal c. And what is the value of c over here? So where this line crosses y-axis? So this line crosses y-axis at 1. So y will be equals to 1. All right, now let's discuss about the equation of this line n. So this line n is a vertical line, and the equation of vertical line start with x. X is equals to a. And what is the value of a over here? A is x-intercept, and that is minus 2. So you can simply write x is equals to minus 2. X is equals to minus 2. So equation of line n is x is equals to minus 2. Let's write over here. So the equation of line n is equals to x is equals to, let me write again. So equation of line n is actually x equal minus 2, and equation of line m is y is equals to 1. Now, line L is a sloping line. So we will use point slope form or equation y equal mx plus c, because y, you can easily see that y-intercept is minus 1 in this question. So you will use y equal mx plus c. Y equal mx plus c. Let me write it over here. So we will be using this form: y is equals to mx plus c. Now, how do you need gradient of this line? Gradient of this line. So for to find out gradient, you need to choose any 2 points on this line. I'm choosing this point and this point. So now write the coordinates of these 2 points. So the coordinate of this point is 1 comma 2, and the coordinate of this point is actually minus 1 comma minus 4. Minus 1 comma minus 4. Now what is the form? Let's write these coordinate over here: 1 2 and minus 1 minus 4. 1 2 minus 1 minus 4. You can choose any 2 points on the line. Now, what is the formula for gradient? So the formula for gradient is m is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 over x2 minus x1. Let me do this. So the formula for gradient is m is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, so this value of coordinate represent x coordinate, y coordinate, x coordinate, y coordinate. You can choose any point as x1, y1 and any point as x2, y. So this is x1, y1 and this is x2, y2. Okay. So now the value of y2 over here is minus 4, and then minus from formula, and then you will have the value of y1 as 2 over. What is the value of x2 over here? The value of x2 is minus 1, and then minus from formula, and then 1. So you will get minus 6 upon minus 2, and that will simply produce 3. Now what is the value of y-intercept over here? So the value of this line crosses y-axis at -1. So c is equals to -1. So now the equation of line will be equals to y equal mx plus c. Now, what is the value of m over here? Just write y and x as it is, 3. And then x as it is, and this line crosses y-axis at -1. So it will be -1. Y equal 3x minus 1. This is the equation of line. Now we have discussed about horizontal line, vertical line, and sloping line. Okay, now let's discuss this question. Write down the equation of line passing through 4, 2, and 6, 8. Now in this case, graph is not given or y-intercept is also not given. Graph and y-intercept is not given. So you will be using point slope form. Let me write this point slope form over here. So it's y minus y1 is equals to m x minus x1. So first you need to find out the value of m, and the formula for m is nothing but y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right. Now these are 2 points. You can choose any point as x1 y1 and any point as x2 y2. So I'm writing x2 y2 over here, right? Now just substitute the value. So m will be equals to y2 is 8 minus 2 over x2 is 6 minus 4. So that will be 6 upon 2. So this will produce 3. So the value of gradient is actually 3. All right. Now you need to write y and x as it is. Y and x as it is. Now what is the value of gradient in this question? The gradient is 3. Okay. Now what is the value of y1? So value of y1, in some question you have only one point through which the line passes, so you can choose that point as x1 y1. Now here you can write x1 as 4 and y1 as 2. So now it will be y minus 4 is equals to 3 into x minus 4. Now just simply expand the bracket. So y minus 4 will be equals to 3x minus 12. So y minus 4, y will be equals to 3x minus 12 plus 4. So y will be equals to 3x minus 8. This is the equation of line that is passing through this point. Okay, so we will be discussing more these type of question later. Okay, now we have discussed till equation of line. Now the next scenario comes. So previously we discussed previously you learned how to find gradient by using formula. Just like here we use formula to find out gradient. Now we will discuss how to find equation, how to use equation of line to find gradient and y-intercept. Let's discuss this concept. Okay, now the next concept is gradient and y-intercept from equation of line. So here you need to understand 2 points. When you need to find out gradient and y-intercept from equation of line, so what you will do, you will be given with the equation of line. What you will do with that equation, make y as subject. Make y as subject. So you need to make y as subject, and when you are done with this step, then you need to compare the answer with equation y equal mx plus c. Compare with y is equals to mx plus c. Compare with the equation y is equals to mx plus c. All right, let's discuss few questions. When you need to find gradient and y-intercept from equation of line, make y as subject and then compare with y equal mx plus c. So here I have 2 different examples over here. So let's discuss each example one by one. Now here you need to make y as subject. So you need to shift 6x to other side. So it will be 2y is equals to 2y is equals to 6x, and then you have plus 4 already over here. This minus sign will change into plus. Try to write x term first because it will be easier for you to compare. Now you have 2 in with y, so you need to shift it over to other side, so that will be 6x plus 4 upon 2, right? So now you need to compare with y equal mx plus c. So you need to remove this denominator. You need to separate these two terms. So you can write this term as y equals 6 over 2x plus 4 over 2. 6 over 2x plus 4 over 2. Why we are doing this? Because we need to compare it. So x term will be separate and the y-intercept term will also be separate. So now if we solve this, so y will be equals to 3x plus 2. 3x plus 2. Now y is subject. Now you can easily check that y is subject over here. Now compare this equation with y equal mx plus c, y equal mx plus c. Now y is in the place of y, x is in the place of x. So now what is the value of m? What will be the value of m? So the value of m will be 3. And what is the value of c? So the value of c will be equals to 2. So you can simply write m is equals to 2, m is equals to 3, and c is equals to 2. Okay, m is equals 3 and c is equals to 2. Okay, let's discuss one more example and then we will move to next concept. Find gradient and y-intercept of the line. So you need to make y as subject. Just shift this 5x to other side. So what we will do, 4y will be equals to 8. Write x term first, because when you need to compare y equal mx plus c, so x term is like first write x term. So it will be minus 5x plus 8. Now you need to shift y to 4 to other side, so this will be minus 5x plus 8 over 4. Write these terms separately. Y will be equals to minus 5 over 4x plus 8 over 4. Now this will produce y equal minus 5 by 4x plus 2. All right. So if you are confused in this step, so I can easily teach you like this thing. In fraction, when you write 1 over 2 upon 3 over 2, so you can simply write 1 plus 3 over 2. So this is the same thing. When something are written combined, so you can separate it. Okay. So let me do this. Now compare this with y equal mx plus c. So in the place of m we have minus 5 by 4. Don't ignore the sign, otherwise you'll lose mark. So m will be equals to minus 5 by 4 and c will be equals to 2. C will be equals to 2. That's all about how to find out gradient and y-intercept from equation of line. So now let's move to next concept that is also very important, and that is the concept of parallel lines. So now parallel lines are these lines that are same distance apart. You can take the example of railway track. So now when you have two lines that are parallel, so their gradient must be same. They have same gradient. They have same gradient. Now I have taken a question from past papers over here. You need to find the equation of line. What you need to find? Equation of line. And here the keyword is parallel. I'm going to highlight it with different color. So equation of line parallel to y is equals to 3x minus 1 that passes through 1 comma minus 3. What you need to do here in this question, you need to find out the equation of line. Equation of line that is parallel to y equals 4x minus 1, and also you are given with the point through the which the line passes. So now in this question gradient is not given, in this question y-intercept is not given, so you will use which form of equation of line? You will use point slope form. point slope form. So I'm going to write point slope form over here. So it's y minus y1 is equals to m x minus x1. All right. Now here how we will find out gradient, because the most important word is parallel line over here. So we need to find the equation of line that is parallel to this line. So can you guess the gradient from here? What is the gradient of this line? So if we compare this equation with y equal mx plus c, because y is already subject, so the gradient will be over here, the gradient over here will be m is equals to 4. So the gradient is 4 because this line is parallel to that line, so the gradient of this line will be 4 as well. Also we have this point, and when we need to use it over here, so we have the value of m as 4, and you need to write x and y as it is. And what is the value of y1 and x1? Y1 and x1 are the coordinates of the point through which the line passes. So now this point is x1 and this point is is y1. Now just substitute the value. So y minus minus 3 is equals to 4x minus 1. Now if we simplify this, so you will get y plus 3 is equals to 4x minus 4. Just shift this 3 to other side. So y will be equals to 4x minus 4 minus 3. So y will be equals to 4x minus 7. So this is the equation of this line, equation of the given line. Okay, I'm hopeful like you have got the idea of parallel lines as well. Now let's discuss about perpendicular line. This is also important concept. So perpendicular line, in case of perpendicular lines, so basically perpendicular lines have gradient that is negative reciprocal of each other. Their gradient is basically negative reciprocal of each other. What does it mean? So negative reciprocal of each other mean, let's say if a line have gradient 2, so the line that is perpendicular to this line will have gradient minus 1 over 2. Okay, so let's say if this line have gradient 2 by 3, so this line will have gradient minus 3 by 2. So perpendicular line have gradient that is negative reciprocal of each other. Remember, negative and then reciprocal of each other. So here I designed a table over here that is very important, so you need to understand. So now, so here we have an equation of line. Here we have an equation of line y is equals to 3x plus 5. Can you find out the gradient of this line? Yes, you will compare it y equal mx plus c, and you can easily find out the gradient of this line as 3. Now, what is the gradient of line that is parallel to this line? That is parallel to this line. So I told you parallel lines have the same gradient, so their gradient must be 3. And what is the gradient of perpendicular line? So because gradient of perpendicular line is negative reciprocal, so if I take the reciprocal of 3, that will be 1 upon 3, and negative sign I need to put negative sign over here. So now this equation have actually we cannot find out the gradient of this line directly. Let's make y as subject. So if I make y as subject, so this will be equals to y equal minus x minus 7. Now x, there is no number with x has no coefficient, no number with x, so we have 1 over here. So now what is the gradient of this line? So the gradient of this line is minus 1. And what will be the gradient of line that is parallel to this line? Again minus 1, because parallel line have the same gradient. Now you need to find out the gradient of perpendicular line. So if I take reciprocal of 1, that will be 1 upon 1, that will be 1 again. But negative reciprocal means, so it will be plus 1. Why I write plus 1? Because I take negative reciprocal. So if a number already have minus sign, so if I take negative this number, so this will change into positive number. Now the next equation also have in next equation you also have the equation 3y equal 2x minus 3. So you cannot find out the gradient directly, you need to make y as subject. So y will be equals to 2x minus 3 over 3, and then if you simply solve this, so it will be 2 by 3x minus 3 over 3. Okay, so now you can check that the gradient over here is, gradient is, if we compare with y equal mx plus c, so the gradient will be 2 over 3. The gradient will be equals to 2 over 3. Now what is the gradient of line that is parallel to this line? So again 2 by 3. Now what is the gradient of line that is perpendicular to this line? Gradient of perpendicular line. So take reciprocal, then I did 3 by 2. So then take negative sign. Now the gradient, let's discuss the last question over, let's discuss the last example over here. So this y is already subject over here, y is already subject over here. So what you simply need to do, so just need to compare it, y equal mx plus c, so this will be minus 1 over 9. What is the gradient of parallel line? Same gradient. And what is the gradient of perpendicular line? Take reciprocal, so that will be 9 upon 1, and is have already negative sign, so change minus minus will change into plus sign. So you can write 9 by 1 or simply 9. I hopefully it's clear. I'm going to revise it very quickly. Parallel line has same gradient, perpendicular line have gradient that is negative reciprocal of each other, negative reciprocal of each other. Let's discuss two very important questions over here. So I have taken this question from past papers, so October November 21 paper 2. Now let's read the statement of this question. Line L has equation y equal 4x 4 minus 5x. So line L have equation y equal 4 minus 5x. Find the equation of line that is perpendicular to line L. You need to find out equation of line that is perpendicular to line L and passes through a point 0.6. Are you given with the graph? No. Are you given with y-intercept? No. Use slope intercept form. What you need to use? You need to use slope intercept form. And what is slope intercept form? Let me write it over here. It's y minus y1 is equals to mx minus x1. So this is point slope form. Now line L has equation y equal 4 minus 5x. 4 minus 5x. Find the equation of line that is perpendicular to line. Okay, so we are given this point, we are given with the point through which the line passes, so we can write the coordinate as x1 y1. I told you like x1 y1 are the coordinates of point through which the line passes. Now how do we find out the gradient? Now here you are given with the equation of line, so y equal 4 minus 5x. So if you rewrite this equation properly, so that will be equals to y equal, if we write x term first, minus 5x plus 4. Now if we compare it with y equal mx plus c, so the gradient of line L, gradient of line L will be equals to minus 5. Now what is the gradient of line that is perpendicular to L? Because we need to find equation of line that is perpendicular to L. So for perpendicular we take negative reciprocal. So if we take negative reciprocal of minus 1 over 5, so that will be equals to, m will be equals to 1 over 5, because it already have negative sign, so negative sign will cancel, and the reciprocal of 5 is 1 by 5. Now the value you have the values of y1 as 6 and the value of m as 1 over 5, and now you have the value of x, you need to write x as it is, and the value of x1 is 0. Now you can simply expand the bracket. So if you expand the brackets, you will write y minus 6 is equals to 1 by 5x, and if you multiply 1 by 5 is 0, you will get 0. Simply shift 6 to other side, so y will be equals to 1 over 5x plus 6. So this is the equation of line. Hopefully you got this concept. Let me revise this again. We are given with the line, and we need to find out the equation of line that is perpendicular to this line. That is perpendicular to this line. So we find the gradient of this line, that was minus 5, and then gradient of perpendicular line will be negative reciprocal, and this line is passing through x1, this point 0.6. Just put the coordinates and solve that. Now we have one more question over here. It's very similar question. So the find equation of line perpendicular to 2y equals 3x plus 1. So that means and passes through this point, because we don't have y-intercept, we don't have a graph. So this line is pass, we need to find out the equation of line that is passing through 5 2. So this is x1 and this is y1. Now this equation of line, this is equation of line. Let's make y as subject. So y will be equals to 3x plus 1 upon 2. Now if we shift, if we separate these terms, so that will be 3 by 2x plus 1 by 2. Now the gradient of this line will be equals to 3 by 2. Now what is the gradient of the line that we need to find? We need to find the equation of line that is perpendicular to this line. Perpendicular, we take negative reciprocal. So let's take negative reciprocal of this equation, that will be minus 2 upon 3. So m will be equals to minus 2 upon 3. Now use slope intercept form. Y minus y1 is equals to m x minus x1. Mx minus x1, right? So let's move. I have less space over here. Let's move to the move this. Okay. Now the value of x1 is 5 and the value of y1 is 2. So let's just substitute the value over here. So well, y minus 2 is equals to minus 2 by 3 x minus, what is the value of x1 over here? X1 is 5. Okay, just expand the bracket. So y minus 2 will be equals to minus 2 by 3x, then minus and minus sign. This minus and minus sign will change into plus sign. So that will be plus 10 over 3. Now shift 2 to other side. So y will be equals to minus 2 by 3x plus 10 over 3 plus 2. Now you have these two constant terms. Now you have these two constant term and you need to simplify this. What is in the denominator of this 2? So we have 1 in the denominator of this number. So we will just multiply it with 3 to make the denominator same. So we will get y equal minus 2 by 3x plus 10 by 3 plus 6 by 3. Now if we solve these two terms, so we'll get y equal minus 2 by 3x plus 16 over 3. So this is the equation of line. Hopefully it's clear, and if you have any sort of problem, so you may ask in comments. So now we are going to discuss the last concept of this topic, that is actually equation of perpendicular bisector. So this is 5-mark question or sometimes 6-mark question as well. Now you need to find out the equation of perpendicular bisector. Equation of perpendicular bisector. So what is perpendicular bisector? So first of all, let's discuss what is perpendicular bisector. So a perpendicular bisector is, let me erase this. A perpendicular bisector is a line that cuts another line segment in half and crosses it at right angle. What is perpendicular bisector? Perpendicular bisector is a line. Perpendicular bisector is a line that cuts another line segment in exactly in half. In half mean like if we have this line over here. So perpendicular bisector will be this line. So this is perpendicular bisector. So this perpendicular bisector will cut this line into two parts. So this is perpendicular bisector. So that means these two lengths are same. These two lengths are same. Okay. So that means perpendicular bisector of a line is passing through midpoint, because it cuts exactly half, so it will pass through midpoint. Okay, and also it makes 90-degree angle over here, it makes right angle over here. So here we will use midpoint concept, perpendicular line concept to find out the equation of perpendicular bisector. So now let's discuss few steps to find out the equation of perpendicular bisector. Just remember this step, and then you will be easily able to find out the gradient, perpendicular equation of perpendicular bisector. So find the gradient from given points. You are given with the points, you need to find out the gradient of these points, then take negative reciprocal to get gradient of perpendicular bisector, because perpendicular bisector cuts at 90 degree, that is perpendicular, so you need to take negative reciprocal, and then find midpoint, use point slope form to find out the equation of perpendicular bisector. Okay, let's discuss a past paper question where you need to find out the equation of perpendicular bisector. Okay, so M has coordinate 4, 1 and N has coordinates -2, -7. Find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of MN. Let's just simply write M and N. So we have M point as 4, 1 and N point as -2, -7. You can directly solve this. I'm just drawing this to explain this concept. Now, we need to find out the equation of perpendicular bisector. So here is equation of here is perpendicular bisector. This passes through midpoint. This passes through midpoint. Also, this is perpendicular. This makes 90-degree angle with this line. Let's find out the gradient of Mn. So the formula for gradient is M is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now we have 2 points, so let's write this point as x1 y1 and this point as x2 y2. Now what is the value of y2 over here? It's -7 minus 1 over, what is the value of x2? That is -2 minus 4. So if we solve this, we will get -8 upon -6. After simplifying, we will get 4 by 3. So M will be equals to 4 by 3. And this is the gradient of this line. Gradient of this line, right? And we need to find out the equation of this line. Equation of this line. We need to find out the equation of this line. And this line is perpendicular to that line. So the gradient will be negative reciprocal. Let's take negative reciprocal. So if we take negative reciprocal, so that will gradient of perpendicular bisector will be equals to -3 by 4. So I use this perpendicular sign. So M will be equals to -3 by 4. This is the value of M that you will use. This is the value of M that we'll use, and this point and this line, this perpendicular bisector passes through midpoint. So we also need to find out the midpoint of these two lines, right? So let's find out the midpoint. So to find out midpoint, we need to add their x coordinates. So that will be midpoint will be equals to 4 minus 2 over 2 and 1 minus 7 upon 2. So if we solve this, so you will get this number as M 2 upon 2 and then -6 upon 2. So the M will be equals to 1 and -3. So why we find out the midpoint over here? Because perpendicular bisector is passing through midpoint. So remember, in point slope form, let me write it over here. So in point slope form, y minus y1 is equals to M x minus x1. What do you need? You need gradient, that is -3 by 4. You need gradient, that is -3 by 4 over, that is -3 by 4 over here. that is minus 3 by 4. All right, and now x1 and y1 are coordinates of point through which line passes. We need to find out the equation of perpendicular bisector, and perpendicular bisector passes from midpoint. So now let's write the coordinates of midpoint over here. So we will write y minus minus 3 is equals to, what is the value of x? X will be as it is, and x1 is 1. So this is x1, this is y1. Let's just simplify this equation. So y plus 3 will be equals to minus 3 by 4x plus 3 by 4. So y will be equals to minus 3 by 4x plus 3 by 4 minus 3. Let's make our denominator same. So 1 multiply by 4 multiply by 4. So you will get y is equals to, you will get y is equals to minus 3 by 4x plus 3 by 4 minus 12 by 4. So lastly we'll get y equal minus 3 by 4x minus 8 by 4. So we can simplify this 8 and 4 terms. So the last equation, that is y equal minus 3 by 4x minus 2. This is the final equation that you will get over here. So that's all for this topic. So hopefully you enjoy this video and learn as well. If you need any sort of confusion, so you may ask in comments, so I will appreciate it. Okay students, take care. Allah Hafiz.